please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Jio was born with a purpose: to transform India with the power of digital revolution. Your company has already invested over 250,000 crores for creating state-of-the-art digital infrastructure. We have doubled our customer base to over 215 million customers now.
From telecom to technology, Reliance Jio has sounded the bugle on its evolution into a tech company which will take on global giants like Amazon. Good evening and welcome to the special broadcast on the 41st Annual General Meeting of Reliance Industries. I am Reema Tendulkar and with me is Kritika Saxena, who was at the AGM since morning. Kritika, it appears that internet as well as the cable TV business are now on Jio's radar.
You know, Reema, what a day. Essentially, this is a digital revolution of sorts that Mukesh Ambani is planning. But of course, the launch of Jio Giga Fibre is the most important and the biggest headline over here. So the broadband service is promising about 100 Mbps speed and comes with a set-top box for TV sets. To simplify this, cable TV players like Den and Hathway could get impacted and in fact took a beating in trade today. Apart from that, Reliance is also planning a new commerce splash, not e-commerce but new commerce. The plan is to integrate Jio's digital platform with Reliance Retail's stores, that is the offline platform, to take on the likes of Walmart, Flipkart as well as Amazon. Again, this is what we are analyzing over here. The overall investment done to achieve this entire feat is likely to be about 2.5 lakh crore rupees so far. So that's the investment that has been put into the backbone and we are expecting some more investment. 15th August is when the registration can start. So we don't know the exact launch and the pricing yet, but lots to talk about with respect to the integration, with respect to Jio Fibre. Let's bring in TV Mohandas Pai, Chairman of Orient Capital. Mahesh Uppal, telecom expert, joins in now. Rajan Matthew, Director General of Cellular Operations Association of India. Sanjeev Bhasin, the Executive VP Markets and Corporate Affairs of IFL, as well as Sanchit Veer Gogaya, the Chief Analyst of Greyhound Research, is joining in on the phone line. We have a power-packed panel with us. But let me start with you, Rajan. This is definitely an important feat. Let's talk about the Jio Giga Fibre. The Jio Giga Fibre is expected to come bundled with data and voice. They're likely to use voice over VoIP. How much disruption is this likely to cause to the existing telecom players? And do you believe that there is going to be a change in pricing by the existing players? Telecom players for now, let's talk about.
So very clearly, this is a game changer of sorts in terms of the pivot that Reliance has done in terms of focusing from its existing business to a platform-based approach. And I think one of the things that Mr. Ambani has highlighted is the continuing convergence of multiple industries on the single platform that is going to deliver the end services. So in that sense, this is good news for the industry because more and more services are looking to be aggregated, and that gives hope for an increase in the amount of money that the average customer pays. And I think one of the critical points that Mr. Ambani made is that he is moving towards a subscription-based approach of revenue. And that is, of course, the crux of what telecom service providers do. Number of subscribers times the rate is basically what pushes the subscriber model, and it continues over a period of time. So in that sense, that is good. More services being aggregated on a single platform, the platform itself being positioned for the new stuff that's coming down the pike like 5G. That's why he talked about health, he talked about education, he talked about agriculture, things that will now benefit from the state-of-the-art investments in this telecom infrastructure. So overall, I think he's positioned the industry very well for taking advantage of the opportunities that are coming down the pike.
Absolutely, Mr. Matthews. Mr. Pai, come in on this. Since Jio ventured into the telecom business, we've seen Idea report losses now for 6 straight quarters. Bharti's India wireless business reported a loss at the EBIT level. On the whole, for the industry, the aggregate revenues are down by nearly a quarter in the last 6 quarters or so. The next target for Jio appears to be e-commerce as well as cable. Your thoughts on the kind of disruption it can cause on cable in particular and broadband? Will we see the exit of smaller players? Is consolidation going to take place there?
Well, when Jio came out 1.5 years ago with this big launch, I was on TV and I said that this is going to cause a loss of 50,000 crores in revenues to all the big players. It's come true. But that 50,000 crores is a consumer surplus that has gone to the consumers. Jio produces 90,000 crores of EBITDA every year, out of maybe 50,000 crores could be free cash flow, which could be invested back, and that's enormous. Now with this announcement that they're going to take on retail, I think the battle for retail is going to intensify. I'd also said when Walmart bought Flipkart, that they have to look at the big gorilla in the room. The big gorilla is not Amazon. The big gorilla is not going to be Walmart. The big gorilla is going to be Reliance. Reliance already does $10 billion of retail, and now they've got a connection into 215 million consumers. It'll go up to 500 million by 2020, and when it goes to 500 million by 2020, on subscription, they can offer fantastic deals. All the mom and pop shows, all the retail stores in this country will be connected to them for e-commerce, and they will have the back-end supply chain, which is already there. So their ability to aggregate all purchasers, demand greater prices, and sell it to all the people on their system and give lower prices is enormous. And if you look at the other two players, they have come up by giving fancy discounts. One of them gets most of the revenues by selling cell phones and electronic gadgets, which are standard products, and the sale depends on the discount that you give. Whereas Reliance has not given discount on the sales.
Mr. Pai, just to interrupt you a bit over there, you said 50,000 crore rupees of a loss at that point in time. I'll ask you to make a prediction now from the DTH as well as the cable operator perspective and the existing telecom players and Amazon. What are the kind of losses that they are likely to incur with the announcements that have come in today?
Well, I think if you look at cable, if you look at telecom again and everything what they're doing, another 50,000 crores will go in the next 4 to 6 quarters. And the reason why it will grow is the fact that, you're going to see cable getting consolidated into a single app. You're going to see all the postpaid customers of existing players gravitating towards Jio, because Jio is giving you high bandwidth. Look, I've been a loyal customer of one of the big players for the last maybe 20 years. But, I get bad service because, the capacity is just not there. It doesn't work everywhere. Jio gives you very good 4G. And the huge investment they made in the latest technology and intelligent networks means I get much more. So we're going to see a massive shift of postpaid. We're going to see cable coming home with wire, and we're going to see cable coming to enterprises. Jio is not in the enterprise space. And the enterprises gets almost unlimited bandwidth at lower cost. You're going to see a boom. So what Jio is creating is transforming this entire country, giving 500, 600 million customers a new experience, enhancing business efficiency, consolidating our industries. So there's going to be a bloodbath for most of the industry which are going to be here, because Jio has got technology, they got reach, they got a balance sheet, and I'm sure he'll spend another 2.5 lakh crores in the next 4 to 5 years to dominate. So at last, we have an answer to Alibaba, we have an answer to Tencent, and we have an answer to Google. We have an answer to Facebook coming from India, and I think that's great news for the Indian consumer.
All right, let's talk about the bloodbath of the existing players then in the industry, Sanjeev. The two listed names, Hathaway as well as Den Networks in the cable and the broadband space. Do you see them existing? Will we see consolidation? How do you approach these stocks from a trading and investing point of view now?
Yeah, hi. So I think, the reach which Mr. Ambani has signaled out, 2.5 lakh crore, 1,000 crore which has been spent, and the broadband and the fiber network which he is talking of, which Mr. Pai has alluded to, is really going to be, creating a behemoth. So I think the smaller players will have to either consolidate, merge, or just evaporate. And this is now going to even threat the likes of Netflix. So, you know, of the FANGs, we think Amazon and Netflix are going to see a lot of competition, and Reliance is now going to be the, you know, ready-made behemoth which you can see in anything to do with technology and e-commerce. So I think for the local players, it's going to be a really tough time. You've seen the tariff, the wars on price, on what effects it had on the market cap of Idea and Bharti, almost half or less than that. And I think the smaller players in this broadband are going to be, you know, either, like I said, merged or they'll have to tie up or just vanish, because you cannot survive in this type of environment which Reliance is looking to create.
You know, Sanjay, you made a very important point on Netflix and Amazon Prime and the likes seeing an impact. Let me take that question to Mahesh Uppal. Mahesh, you've been tracking this space, you've been observing this space for a very long time. If you look at the existing model that Netflix, Star, which is Hotstar, etc. follow, they are content makers, content aggregators. But over here, in the case of Reliance Jio, you have content makers, aggregators, as well as internet providers. Will this give them a leg up? Or is it a completely different model altogether, Mahesh?
Well, there's no doubt that it will give them a leg up. There is no doubt that they bring a huge literal and metaphorical bandwidth to this space. They bring money to this space. And they bring, as many of our previous speakers have said, huge ambition to this space. And there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that it's going to be tough going for the small players in India. Now, this applies as much to the telcos as it does to the people in the cable space, etc. However, I'm not too sure whether we can extrapolate as easily as that to the likes of Amazon and Facebook or Netflix, etc., because clearly they have a huge advantage of incumbency. They've been in this business for much longer. And it's probably fair to say that this is not an area of great expertise as of now for Reliance. That this expertise is possible to acquire, it's possible to buy, is a different matter. But to suggest that everything is hunky-dory and that it's just a place ready to be overtaken by somebody with ambition and money alone, I think might be overstating it. But yes, I think Reliance is going to give a lot of players, including the big ones, a run for their money.
Okay, Sanchit Veer Gogia of Greyhound Research is also here with us. Sanchit, we're talking about e-commerce players like Flipkart and Amazon getting impacted once Reliance Jio does the horizontal integration of Reliance Retail on its Jio network. Currently, these big players are all loss-making. Financially, what does this integration or hybrid offline-online model mean for Reliance Industries?
Yeah, Rima, great question. Thank you. So I'm very cautiously optimistic about this entire announcement today. While, of course, it's a very strong announcement in terms of the amount of dollars and the money which is going in the entire system. But, you know, let's not forget, inherently, Reliance is not a B2C company. In terms of the broader understanding of customer experience and delivering that kind of experience that probably an Amazon or a Netflix or, let's say, a Flipkart offers today isn't inherently close or native to a Reliance. Just to put this in context, 80% of their business does come from oil and gas still, which does make its thought process and culture very different. Even if you look at the response to Jio apps, it's been tepid, it's been slightly on the poorer side, and Jio overall is mostly a second connection for a lot of people. So yes, while Airtel and the Ideas of the world are losing money because a lot of correction is happening in terms of prices, but Jio still happens to be, for a lot of key players or key consumers in the industry, the second option. Having said that, look, Reliance does come in with very inherent strong points. It does have 4,000 Reliance retail stores. It has about 50 warehouses. It has 4,000 Jio points. What it also has to its great advantage is 1 million+ shops selling Jio connections as a last-mile fulfillment center in smaller towns. And the fact is, if you look at across any e-commerce company today, be it Flipkart or be it even Amazon, the tier 2, 3, and 4 cities are the ones that offer a lot of bullish opportunity in terms of growth. And that happens to be the home turf for Reliance. So in theory, yes, it does add up that, it's going to be a jolt to the industry. But I'm a lot more cautiously optimistic about this announcement today.
Okay, I want to ask a quick follow-up question to Mahesh, but Sanjit, very quickly tell me, reports have said that Reliance actually needs to get an EBITDA of about $8 billion to actually see concrete, reasonable returns coming in from the consumer place so far. Do you believe it's going to be that much? By when are we actually going to see a scale coming in? How long would you give for the consumer play to be big enough to give return to shareholders? That question to Sanjit, and then I want Mahesh Uppal's comments on that.
I would give that business anywhere between 8 to 10 years. If you look at the amount of capex cost that is incurred as part of this, and a lot of unlearning, relearning that happens, and ongoing in terms investments in terms of capex. And let's look at Amazon as well, the closest competitor. It took them 10 years to be actually a break even. So I would take 8 to 10 years as a window for any sort of investment return on investment.
Mahesh, a quick addition to that point, do you believe that it's going to take another 10 years for Reliance to reach that scale, for the consumer business to reach the scale where it can match up to the traditional energy, material and oil and gas footprint?
Well, I would not like to hazard a guess, but I think that it's probably fair to say that it's going to take a long time. And remember also that Reliance is now in an entirely new phase of its business. Now, the importance of fiber cannot be underestimated. We are bandwidth starved. We have a capacity issue with wireless, clearly. So fiber is going to be a big issue and is a big advantage, whoever can put it. But we must not underestimate the difficulty in actually extending fiber across the country. It's not a trivial undertaking. And simply having money and clout and ambition may not be enough. So we must expect a certain degree of delays in this. We must, there is a huge degree of uncertainty in how the whole fiber market is going to play out. But I don't disagree one bit that it's a massive ambitious move, and it's the right direction. We need fiber. Reliance is best placed to provide it, but that should not automatically mean that they're destined to succeed in this. We must be, as my previous speaker said, we must be cautiously optimistic.
Okay, Mr. Uppal, we'll thank you for that. Yes, last mile connectivity is going to be a problem. In the whole testing, a lot of societies didn't give their approval for Jio to come up and set it, which is why Mukesh Ambani, perhaps in his speech, said that, if you want, just come up and sign, and where we prioritize in all those locations. But I believe Mr. Pai wants to make a point.
Yeah. So the point I want to make is by December 2020, Reliance probably will have 500 million consumers. Now, if 500 million pay 150 rupees a month, that'll be 7,500 crores, 90,000 crores, 40% EBITDA, 36,000 crore EBITDA, which is not bad. But please remember, there has been no shift in enterprises going to Jio because they're not laid the cable. Enterprises are waiting, the high-paying consumers. Postpaid has not gone to Jio because if you already have a number, it's very difficult to change. And if they come with a simple app and change the rules, which I'm sure they can get to do for consumer welfare, where you can shift from existing players to Jio, because Jio gives you high-quality video and 4G and 5G network soon. And if they shift, the per unit revenue will go up. So I think, along with whatever they're going to do, and they go home, it'll be fantastic. But the big battle will be for content. When you have subscription, you require content. Where Netflix scores is the content, and Netflix is pouring enormous amount of money into content creation, which Reliance has to probably spend 5,000 to 6,000 crores a year into content creation across the board, so they can beat Netflix and they can capture that part of the market too. So I think it's a very grand strategy. The key thing is how fast will they pull it up. They have the money, they have the technology, they have the team, they have the resources. It is action on the ground that will be the limitation, not the vision.
Okay, so the long-term growth is what we're looking at. Mr. Pai, I want you to hold that thought. I want to get Rajan's comments on the content bit, but for now we'll have to take a very short break. Rima and I will be back with our esteemed panel of guests. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome to this very special edition where we are decoding what came out of Reliance AGM.
This oil to telecom to TV to new commerce is taking over lots of streams of business, and it's going to impact us very much. We're in conversation with our experts, Mahesh Uppal, Rajan Matthews, Sanjeev Bhasin, Sanchit Veer Gogia, as well as TV Mohandas Pai. Rajan, let me come to you. Purely for telecom players like Bharti as well as Idea and Vodafone, do you believe the incremental announcements which have come through from the AGM are not that significant or disruptive? Because all they're talking about is an exchange offer for JioPhone priced at 501 rupees and a JioPhone 2. So how disruptive are today's announcements for the existing players?
So I don't believe that any of the announcements are hugely disruptive. I think the worst of the impact of Jio's entry into the industry is kind of past. I think we'll probably see another quarter or so before the rates subsidize and stabilize. I think very clearly what Mr. Ambani has signaled is that, look, he's on to the next frontier, which is basically aggregating all of the content and the value-added services and making sure that he can leverage the retail part of the business and the entertainment part of the business, increase the average revenue that is paid by a customer and be able to enhance the revenue stream. Because obviously when you're pivoting to a telecom high-tech type of a industry, the subscription model is absolutely critical. And I think he's very clearly signaled that. So I think the operators probably are heaving a bit of a sigh of relief and saying, look, the attention seems to have diverted itself to maybe DTH and the other areas. Everybody on the operator side, by the way, is investing heavily in fiber because they all see fiber as absolutely essential to delivering the high quantum of data that is being consumed, as well as the issue of streaming video, that is being what is being consumed, and the need for the gigabits of throughput in house and fixed locations. So clearly that is well focused on, and I think all of the other operators will take that cue going forward.
That's an important point, Rajan. Telecoms definitely need to heave a sigh of relief. But very quickly, tell me about the data wars that you're expecting. Are you expecting to see data wars across the board? And, you know, keeping that in mind, the fact that Reliance has a proximity to domestic lobbying bodies, government bodies, etc., will it make it simpler for Reliance to break into this space versus the likes of Walmart and other global players? Rajan?
I think, I think one of the things that we have to be very much aware of is the power of partnerships. What we've seen in all kinds of markets elsewhere when these major types of power aggregations come into play, competitors look to mimic what is being offered and to stay competitive very quickly by aggregating similar types of services through partnerships. So I'll be very surprised if Amazon, and I know that Amazon is already talking to Airtel, for example, and so I would not be surprised if Walmart would not be talking to somebody else to make sure that they have access to a network of a similar scope and scale. So I think those types of partnerships will be the new impetus, and so we'll see consolidation at that side.
But Rajan, a data war is likely. A data war is likely then?
I don't see a data. I think we've really hit the bottom of the heap at 10 to 15 rupees per gigabit, you know, where you're getting such a ton of information. People are really not utilizing it. And so, you know, operators are making something on the breakage. So I don't think that's where the game is anymore. Affordability is there. Now customers are saying, give me quality. Allow us to invest in the network. So I think that's going to be the new focus in terms of the customer experience. I think customers are saying, look, we can eat as much as we want now at these prices, give us quality.
Okay. Sanchit, at least when we talk about telecom, you would say that the policy was favorable for Reliance Jio. For instance, the interconnect usage charges were cut, which made it a lot easier for Reliance Jio. What about in the retail or in this new commerce space? Walmart is still struggling to appease all its traders. Will it get easier for Reliance Jio?
Yeah, that's the inherent advantage I think the Reliance already has on the ground. It works with a lot of these trader bodies. It has a great understanding of how the government functions. And that's clearly been a sore point in the entire journey for, let's say, a Walmart, which has suffered in the past with its Bharti partnership as well. And let's not forget, look at any AGM that happens at Reliance. There's a huge emotional connect that Reliance as a brand has with India and its stakeholders, which is really going to work in its favor. And I think that's something that is not replaceable. What you can replace is technology. What you can get in is new funds. What you cannot replace is the emotional connect that the brand has with its stakeholders. And, you know, on the back of that, if you see, the fact is it's the tier 3, tier 4 towns, which have been the hardest one for, let's say, Amazon and Flipkart to enter. And that is where the key strength lies really for Reliance.
Okay, very quick question to Sanjeev. Sanjeev's been patiently waiting there. Sanjeev, one last question to you. How long is the market going to wait? How long is the market going to be patient to see the consumer play grow to a scale where there can be significant shareholder returns?
Well, that is actually the game plan of Reliance. You know, they think 5 years ahead. 5 years back, their whole gamut of expansion was in technology, was in laying this fiber and on the oil front. And now, you know, data is the new gold. So if they're talking of the next 5 years, you know, you have to just be a patient and a quiet investor and let them deliver. If you remember last 1.5 years when they launched Jio, the ideal word was disruption. And that is what it has been. But as a surprise, in the last 2 quarters, EBITDA positive has turned out to be Jio. And now the capex of energy is over, so that will be another upgrade on the return on equity. And I think going forward, you know, the first thing would be the milestone of $100 billion. But given the game plan and given the reach, I think you would go places. Reliance would definitely, over a period of time, take over TCS and become the numero uno on market cap going ahead.
You know, I just want to throw some numbers on the broadband business. They're talking about achieving 50 million households by way of broadband. Currently, the market is only 18 million. So, they're looking to expand it and capture it. So, I'm guessing the pricing is going to be very aggressive. So, 50 million target and the current market is only 18 million.
Is definitely going to happen in that case. All right, with that, we'll have to wrap up. Thank you from Rima and me. Thank you so much for watching this show. Stay tuned to CNBC TV 18. Lots more news and updates will be lined up on the other side of this very short commercial break.